it's possible for every single one of us to experience something negative in our lifetimes like that.
Yeah, for sure. No, there's no doubt about it. We have to give this thing away in order to keep it. And you know that as well as I do.
Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Hook Better Leads podcast. And today I've got Ty Backer from TC Backer Construction. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
It's crazy. This is only, I think, your second time ever being on the show, maybe. And that's crazy because you and I have known each other for I feel like 4 years now or something. Anyways, it's felt like a long time.
Hmm.
We've lived a couple lifetimes, I feel like, since we started to know each other. I think the first time I really hung out with you was down One Industry, One Model, and I think you were in Dallas with us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was Dallas.
And I just remember talking to you a little bit about. I think I pulled you in to talk with an earlier contractor, and you were
Mhm.
just really generous with them. You were like, "This is what I would do," that type of thing. I bet you it's kind of hard for you every once in a while to think about what you'd do if you're like at 1 to 2 million though.
Oh my. I mean, what do you mean in terms of what would I do as far as marketing?
Yeah, or just like whatever, right? Like I feel like it's probably been a long time since you felt that what it feels like to basically be like totally on you, all on your shoulders. I know like you have that in a different way now, but like
Hmm.
those first couple million it's kind of a crazy time.
Yeah, well, I mean, even back then, I had wore my tool pouch. So you're right. All of the pressure was on me. I mean, the entire world was resting. I mean, I was the marketing department. I was the production team. I mean, I was everything. And I remember laying in bed, wondering, how we were going to make ends meet. And then shortly after, a few years after that, my stress was the same but different because then I laid in bed wondering how the heck we were going to get it all done.
In those first couple years, did you do anything resembling what I know you guys have this 21 turkey salute now? You're so involved in the community. I think you're a great example for people as they grow. Was there anything that you did like that when you were early on? Is there any like community involvement stuff that you did? Or when did that start for you?
No, it's a great question. So, I mean, this goes way back. My mom, my mom was involved with the community. So, I mean, it was kind of, I was born with it, to get involved with the community. But early on in business, I'll be honest with you, I think it was probably the furthest thing from my mind only because I was just so concerned and so self-absorbed, with just trying to stay afloat that it took,
Mm.
a good couple of years before I had realized why I was put here, why we were in business. And but it was, it was stressful just like most companies, when they first started out. It's stressful and it's all about me at that time.
I think it's good to talk about though, because I think a lot of early contractors, we're going to talk about something that as time goes on, you may want to layer in. It's beautiful, but
Mhm.
those first couple of years, we're not saying you need to go do a 21 turkey salute right away, right?
Yeah,
So,
no, because
yeah,
it's about survival, right?
yeah.
You got bills to pay, mouths to feed.
So, what inspired you to start the 21 turkey salute, and how has it impacted the community over the years?
Yeah. That's a funny story. The 21 turkey, that wasn't one of our first things, but that was probably our biggest thing. It was during COVID, and it actually came about on our podcast. We were talking, and we didn't know what to do, right? We wanted to do something. The world was crazy during COVID, and we had discovered the food insecurity, our local here on a local level, the food insecurity that people were experiencing and suffering from. So we just came up with the idea of deep frying turkeys. That's something that I do, in my off hours. I enjoy deep frying foods, and I grew up in the restaurant industry. My family owns a restaurant still to today, and somebody had made mention. I don't know if it was myself or Chris Baker that mentioned, what was the Guinness Book of world records of deep frying turkey simultaneously, and it was 20. So that's where the name 21
Yeah,
Turkey Salute, like hasta
yeah,
luego number 20, because here comes 21.
yeah. I love that. And can you just describe a scene what it looks like when this is hitting in the community when you're doing something like this? What does it feel like as you're kind of looking over? What does it look like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like when you're experiencing this with your community?
Once you get to know us, there's no reason to buy from anybody else. What we do differently is we do steak in the factory. You're truly buying direct. We don't sell to distribution. We sell to roofers, the people that have been getting hurt for years. You keep getting price increases from suppliers. We do price decreases. We've had about 4 price decreases this year. VanBoxwellBuilding.com. We have a new website, the Amazon type platform. You go right on there, click it, put it in your cart. We can send it to you, or feel free to give us a call. We'll answer any questions for you.
Yeah, no, that's another great question. It just actually gave me goosebumps because this year will be our sixth annual 21 Turkey Salute, and what has happened is that they allow us to shut down an entire city block. So it reminds you of like a circus or a carnival because we have this big, huge tent that literally runs from one end of the street down to the other end of the street. And we set tables out and it smells like, cause we used to use peanut oil, but now it's like canola oil. So you have that smell of like French fry that's steaming underneath this tent, and there's people everywhere and the lines around the corner, and we set up the podcast and local news channels come down, Fox 43, ABC 27, they all come down, the York Daily Record, the newspaper come down, and there's interviews now. They're out there taking pictures and stuff, and that's not why we started it. We kind of stumbled into that later by just trying to do the next right thing and help people, because it started out as like a curbside pickup, because during COVID, people would just kind of swing by. Everybody had their mask on, but today it's a full-blown community event where a lot of other local businesses get involved. They send their teams down to give us a hand, because this past year we served over 1,000 plates of food. So you can imagine how many bodies, how many moving parts, how many, dishes that need to
Yeah.
be washed, and turkeys that need to be cleaned. That's over 100 turkeys served.
Do you ever kind of look around or like see a family or something that's like kind of you can tell they needed this or it was very helpful to them? Or like, have you ever gotten the experience of having somebody come up to you and be like, hey, I really appreciate what you've done for me and my family?
Yeah, it's almost overwhelming, Tim. I mean, there's more than one family. See, the cool thing about this is we do a lot of other charity stuff, and one of which is a food drive that for a local food bank. It's called the Well. So we actually do this in their parking lot. So all of those same people, families and children that we're impacting are also in that same area and same community, and across the street's a homeless shelter. So it's a great location for us to really get in down in the trenches with those less fortunate people. So the demand, or not the demand, but the gratitude that we feel and sense, people
Yeah.
bring the entire family down, and the amount of people that are just, thanking us is overwhelming. And that's what's so cool. And I think that has been one of the biggest, I know it is one of the biggest galvanizers of creating such a strong culture that we have here, because we shut down the day before Thanksgiving, and everybody, all of our, our crews, our window crews, our siding crews, everybody, our service department, admin, sales, marketing, everybody's down there, boots on the ground in the trenches, deep frying these turkeys, cutting turkeys, serving, pie. We get over 1,000 pies donated. Now, most of it's donation. Most of it used to be just on us, but now we get other local
Yeah.
businesses involved in their gratitude and their team's gratitude. It's like everybody looks forward to doing this
Yeah.
every year.
What would you say is like something that comes up? Because by the way, I can tell that your team is pretty bought in and it feels like a mission.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mission-oriented business where it's like, yes, we do work for homeowners, but we're also making the community better. Is there, like, another, like, trait that comes up, you think, more often because of all this? Like, a trait that, like, shows up in your team or that you experience as a benefit, a secondary benefit of being this involved in the community?
A trait?
Yeah, or like just
Like,
anything that you're seeing amongst your team, just kind of ways that this it positively affects your team.
yeah, tenacity and resiliency, right? When
Mhm.
if you think there's something going on in your life and you go down there and you serve that much food to as many people as we have, like our problems don't seem as big anymore. They're
Yeah.
very irrelevant compared to the scale of situations that we experience and the things that we see downtown. It's pretty devastating and pretty heart-wrenching at times. So I think what it does for us, and it's giving me goosebumps right now, what it does is it solidifies everything, our core values, to the core. I mean, we're a charity company that does roofing. Just like most people say we're a marketing company that does roofing, we also are a marketing company. But what happens is when you bring your team in and you get them involved, they become your brand. They're the ones that are screaming from the rooftops, TC Backer Construction. It's about building a company that people want to work for, creating a culture that people want to be a part of, and having an organization that other organizations aspire to be. And that last part, I don't say that arrogantly. I say that in terms of hopefully inspiring other local companies to want to do something for our local community and those that are less fortunate.
Hmm. Okay, so as you're, you know, creating this commitment to community involvement, does it ever oppose or get in the way of your business goals and growth? Does it, is there any balancing that you have to do? Like, obviously, we can't, one day of every week go volunteer per se, but where is that line? Is there anything where it sometimes feels opposed? Does it ever infringe on your ability to grow a business, or do you feel like it's mostly just complementary, as we've kind of discussed?
Yeah, it most definitely has complemented our business, unknowingly getting involved with the community as much as we have. I had no idea what the outcome was to happen. But it is definitely came back tenfold. There's no doubt about it. Now, speaking in terms of doing too much, yes. I mean, we now have what's called a community events committee. We literally had to create a committee within our company, and I have a committee organizer, Amanda, who organizes all of these things and keeps them on track for us and puts them on the calendar. So one, we're not marketing, overlapping too much because we were doing too much at one time, and it was taking away from each one of them because it was just too much and it was spreading us thin, and nobody knew what the community didn't know what they wanted to participate in. So there was no fluidity to it. So now we do the 21 turkey salute, we do the annual food drive, we do the annual diaper drive, and now this year we're hosting our second Swing for Recovery, which we raised actually $30 million, or not 30 million. God, that would be awesome. 30,000,
Yeah.
$30,000 last year for a 1-day event. Because we were strategically doing these bigger events each quarter, one each quarter. And then our smaller events, things that we get involved with, like national annual Roofers in Recovery Day. That's just like a 1-day thing that we impact one family. We actually give a free roof that day. And then if it was a $15,000 roof, we donate that full $15,000 to Roofers in Recovery. Or if it was a 10 or 12, 13,000, whatever, we'll donate all proceeds, basically for the amount, whatever the cost of the roof would be, we donate that to Roofers in Recovery.
Hey, by the way, there's a gentleman I was talking to recently that was just like kind of sharing his struggle with chemicals and stuff like that. We were just DMing back and forth because I've been talking about it because I just hit 15 years or whatever.
Wow.
Um, and he was talking to me about it, and I'm not gonna say who it was, but it was cool because I was just like, "Yeah, dude, come on, let's do this. Just get back, get back to something, like whatever." And then he got to go to the recovery thing with Roofers in Recovery. Like he got to actually go get a room and like basically didn't have to pay for it and is, in roofing and stuff like that. So it's just like, God, it feels good when you hear about like you're doing, it's not real. It feels crazy. It's just, oh, I'm just giving money until you like hear a real story of somebody's like getting like, who's getting an opportunity to like actually get recovery.
Hmm.
And it's partly because of that work that you guys did,
Yeah.
so that's just a beautiful thing, man. It feels crazy when it kind of comes around, you like you see that it actually helped somebody.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And Paul and Kim Reed do, and Eric O, of course, and Chris Cox and um our uh Bubba Richardson, who
Yeah.
used to who's no longer with us. But um those people are amazing people. I ran into them probably 10 plus years ago at a Win the Storm conference and have stayed in touch with them and just believe in it wholeheartedly on what they're doing. And now they got Hope in the Valley out there in Colorado, their facility out there, which now gives them the opportunity to have a bigger impact on our industry, and that's really what it's about. If you're going to measure yourself, obviously there's three things: your personal, right? 1 to 10, 10 being the best, and how you're impacting the industry, 1 to 10, and professionally, rating yourself 1 to 10, and those people are definitely, number 10 all the way, have
Yeah.
scored a 10 on our industry, and I'm sure personally and professionally as well.
I
Um,
think what's beautiful, let me just compliment you for a second, Ty, and I appreciate you being on the show and stuff. And just want to note, I can tell, like I actually didn't know about all this charitable shit you did, by the way.
oh, really?
Because you're not talking about it all the time. Like I know the 21 Turkey Salute has been like a promotion a little bit too, but I can like you have to lead a lot of people. It's a big company. You have to lead a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I was always surprised by the amount of humility you had being, there's a pretty big company. Uh, I always talk about that, but I think it makes up more sense knowing that you've been involved, like the community involvement stuff. Cause I think, like you're saying, not only does it make you feel grateful when you're looking at all these people that are less fortunate, when you like have an experience where you're like right there and you're trying to help them, and there's a lot of stuff that's tough, but you also kind of get more humility because it's like, really, we're all not that far away from that in a weird way. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
it's possible for every single one of us to experience something negative in our lifetimes like that.
Yeah, for sure. No, there's no doubt about it. We have to give this thing away in order to keep it. And you know that as well as I do.
RoofCon is definitely the best conference I've ever attended, and I've been to several. We go to several every single year.
I bought the tickets. I said, we're going.
This year they broke 5,000 tickets, so it's growing bigger and bigger every single year.
If you're not here, I don't know where you're at.
Definitely coming back 2024. See you then.
RoofCon, the #1 conference for the roofing and solar community, is coming back to Orlando October 23rd through 25th, 2024. Get your tickets today at roofcon.com.
And that is at the root of our core values here at TC Backer Construction. And that doesn't mean sell the farm and give the farm away. That just means, when our cup is overfloweth, right? And anything that we have left over, we should be dispersing into the community, right? And that's time, energy, resources, money, all of those things that this community and some programs that I'm involved with that have given me so freely, right?
Yeah.
And who am I to hold on to all these blessings and these gifts? If I want to continue to live the life that I'm living, I must impact other people. And I learned that at a very young age, going back to, like I said, my mom. I don't know why my mom did what she did. I never got to ask her that question, but one of the ways that I grieved with that was to pick the torch up and run with it and fill her shoes and live out her legacy. And I didn't truly understand what legacy was or what it meant, but allowing our team to get involved with the things that we do, right? Community involvement offers an excellent opportunity for us to positively impact our company culture by fostering, community, showcasing our expertise, encouraging growth, right? Promoting company values and boosting morale. Boosting the morale and team spirit is probably one of the biggest things, and allowing them and empowering them
Yeah.
to be involved with something much bigger than just coming here 8, 10, 12 hours a day.
Tell me,
Participate. Go ahead.
tell me a little bit more about your mom. Like what did she do that was so that was related to community involvement?
Man,
I
she was involved with everything, drugged me around. I'm the baby, right? So I'm the youngest. I was the last one at home. And I was her favorite. Wink, wink. I'm sure she told all of us kids that. But I was at home longest, right? And so she drugged me everywhere. Summer Jubilee, Santa's breakfast. She was involved with the Red Hat ladies, the Scarlet ladies, Chambers of Commerce, Lions Club, the Rortan Club. She sat on every single board and was involved with everything. I don't even know how she did this full time, plus ran a catering business, ran a bar, ran a restaurant, but just was so involved with the community that, it was just normal for me to be cooking at these events and donating our time, which is probably the precious commodity is our time, right? And donating our time, to these things. And it wasn't for prosperity at all. It wasn't for notoriety. It was just, that's what she did because, when my family grew up, they didn't have anything, nothing. They moved us down here from upstate New York. My dad got a job at Grove Worldwide, put himself through college, and we weren't given anything. We had to work for it. I almost resented my father for that, but love him more than anything dearly. Is my biggest mentor and coach today. He's still with us. And I resented him as a kid because we worked, we steamed crabs, we cooked chicken, we barbecued ribs, we did all these things on the weekends, and a lot of it was donated food. Now, they did have a bar and a restaurant and everything like that, but they used that as a tool, the vehicle for them to have an impact on the community. And I don't know, I should ask my dad, why, where did that come from? Or they just found out early on, like I have today, is that if I want to keep this building and I want to continue to impact the lives of which that work, that are employed here, I have to continue to give things away. And I think that's where, this is a personal thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a personal development thing where, I think a lot of us business owners tend to be a lot, selfish and egotistical and not very humble. And just like early on, it was about survival, right? And that, like, I don't think a lot of business owners get over that survival part. You know what I mean? And then,
do you think your mom would be proud of you today if she saw all the stuff you're doing in the community, man?
most definitely, I actually had the honor and the privilege. She lived with us she passed away in my house, and I was able to take care of her. Actually, Jana did during the day, and I did very little at night. So big shout out to my wife, Jana, for taking care of my mom in her last day. She lived with us for 4 years, and I got to hang out with her a lot, my mom. And she's the one that told me that I needed help. And we're going back because she passed away. I think this year will be 15 years.
Yeah.
She's the one that taught me, a lot of life lessons and trust, right? Trust would be the only way to build a high performing team and stop telling people what to think, right? But encouraged me to allow them how to think.
Yeah.
And I watched her and my dad, were amazing leaders. My dad still is a phenomenal leader, but my mom, yes, she would probably have no idea the impact that she's had on me. Right. And that's the thing about legacy, is that because of the impact that she's had on me, I've been able to play that forward, or pay that forward.
Yeah, it just feels like she would probably, like, it'd be crazy for her to see all the lives that she's impacted just by exemplifying giving to you and kind of building that into you from the get-go. So I think it's a beautiful thing. My mom, just to touch briefly, because my mom also just recently passed away. She's I've been reflecting on how her impact. So I used to grow up. I grew up going to houses. She cleaned houses,
Hmm.
so I get to go to these big, beautiful homes and kind of look over at look out at the lake, and I'd watch cartoons. But she would always just kind of like she was cleaning. She was very, very good at her job, and then she was always praying for the people's homes. Like she was always like praying for the marriages and the homes of the people. So she's like had this. She loved it. She loved doing this and because before that she was working overnights and she had 4 boys, so she was working overnight at a restaurant, Perkins, and and then she'd come home and parent 4 boys. So she was like just stoked to have a daytime job, I think too.
Hmm.
But I realize now, like how, like I think of that as like ikigai, which is like that like sense of purpose around your work. She had her own thing. Like she was a little bit charitable, but she really was trying to get Jesus. She wanted you to know about Jesus. So her version of that was like, she was always witnessing and stuff like that. Um, but I think she set a really good example around like meaningful work, like trying to make work meaningful in her own way, praying for people and stuff. I think moms, moms have a huge impact on us and like what we decide to do. And sometimes you can't even see it right away. Like we don't see it. And then later on, we're looking back, we're like, oh, that's why I am the way I am. That's why I bet you now you're like, geez, that's why I give, and when you first started, you might not have drawn the line just as clear as that, but I think you probably, I don't know if you kind of knew that you were inspired by her as you were starting, but
Shit, it got deeper for me after she passed. Like I know
yeah,
I've taken it to an extreme, right?
yeah,
Just that I'm either all or nothing, and I definitely have gone all in
yeah,
on this, impact and giving back and really thinking about legacy and Ed Milet talks about having a dream big enough for everybody else's dream to fit in,
yeah,
but I wanted to take that to another level and make sure that my legacy is big enough for our co-leaders and team members is legacy to fit in as well, because this is a part of their story. This is also a part of their legacy, is helping organize these things and allowing them to give input and feedback and create, organizational community events that they think might be a good idea, or they have a a facility or organization that they're a part of outside of work that we've allowed to impact them as well. And that's really what it's about. Um, when somebody comes into our organization, you know, they're not an employee; they become a part of the family, and they're teammates, right? They're our co-leaders. Most have stayed over the years. I mean, we have 10, 15 plus years people have been here, and the other half are 5+ years. We do bring a lot of new people in, but um, if they do leave, I know they're different people after they come through here. Our training, our SOPs, our KPIs, our core values, right? That's our three-legged stool that I talked about at your event, which I want to do that again because I was a little off kilter.
that's another like that's an example of like the way this shows up for us is like community events. We've got we had 2 events in January.
Mm-hmm.
And in that way we're giving back to our community and trying to create and it was huge. I mean, it got like that got us business. I mean, let's tie this back for other people here too on the end. Like, what else is good about this stuff? The community involvement. How do you create community involvement? What are some more practical ways? I think let's say for a second, you're just surviving at 2 million. You get to 5 million. Sometimes you go like, I mean, dude, that's a good time, right? When you hit 5 million and you're going
Yeah.
to 10, you're like, oh my God, this could work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So as you get into that spot where you're like, oh my God, this could work.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the first couple things that people could do to give back to their community? You think that's a opportunity to do some of this stuff? What would be like a few, like 1, 2, or 3 next steps that somebody could take regarding community involvement to make that will also help their business? Because you're not,
Yeah.
we're not like set at 5 million, right? We're like getting ramped up, and we want to make sure that everything kind of feeds back into the machine a little bit.
Yeah, no, and it's twofold. It's twofold. I think one of the easier things is a food drive, okay, and getting other local businesses involved and taking a crate there and asking them, hey, would you guys like to participate in our food drive? We'll take your link from your website. We'll post it on our socials. We'll post it, on our website. So that way people know that you're participating, but it'll also allow you to share our stage, and if you don't mind promoting our food drive, then we get to share their stage. So now you're getting your team involved. And this past year, I chose our 2 introverted people to be our community outreach for our food drive. So I assigned them with 25 businesses each. Like, you have 25 businesses of your choice to go out and get them involved in our community event. So now I got them out of their shell. So it's twofold, right? We're getting our team involved. We're getting them out of their shell. We're helping them develop into, hopefully social butterflies, and we're getting exposure to other local businesses. Plus, at these businesses, we have a big sticker on the side of our box. It's a Craftsman box that's black and red top on it that you can pick up at Lowe's, which is our team colors, right? And it's got a nice big TC Backer Construction food drive donation box sticker.
Nice.
So I would suggest doing a food drive, because it really doesn't cost you anything unless you want to match whatever monetary donations come in. If you want to match the weight of food that come in, and that's something we do, right? And you may be able to do that because you might not have a whole lot of food or monetary money that come in. And let's say you raise $500 and you want to match it $500 plus, you're supporting the community and you're donating the food to a local food bank, right? So I would suggest doing that. Our diaper drive, same thing. Get other local businesses involved. If they didn't know who you are, now they do, because you're knocking on their door, literally B2B,
Nice.
knocking on another business's
And you're
door.
just reminding them to refer you too, by the way. I think that, like, I'm just gonna be the business guy for a second. Like that's the beauty of that, is like, we need all these other home service businesses to know us, because they are often talking to the homeowner right around the time that they might need our services as well.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
then,
so
like, to get into events, if you were to do it over again, what size would you start doing this? I know that this is a fairly recent one. For instance, the turkey salute thing. Would
Mhm.
you have started earlier? If you're talking about is it something a $10 million company could do, $20 million company? Like, where is a spot where, like, all right, now we should do our own event. Let's involve people with this. What size of company is that makes sense for without being a burden?
Man, I think you can be at any size, even if you're doing $1 million. And if you're getting other local businesses and organizations, nonprofit organizations involved, I mean, it shouldn't cost you anything. I mean, the way that we did it, of course, it was during COVID and nobody wanted to talk to each other. And this is going back 6 years ago. This year will be 6 years, but we floated that bill. But I would say, at any scale that you feel like you can do it yourself personally, I think you can be any size company to have an impact on the community. And the bigger that you get and the more people that get involved, because really, if you're a good salesperson, you should be able to raise money, right? For these events, you know what I mean, that you want to host, because
You know
that's
what's
something.
crazy about that too? It's like, I've found it's so much easier to do that. Like, it's almost like a good sales exercise, because it's like,
It really is.
I'm not doing anything selfish here. I'm literally just trying to help something else. And so you get really good at sales when you have like this, when what it's a good reminder, because like the ideal scenario in sales is like, I'm selling, like, if they don't do this with me, I'm gonna let them down, because they're gonna go with a competitor they're not gonna get the best service, they're not gonna get the best products, they're not gonna get the best whatever.
Mhm.
And so I am like, I just am trying to help them. But when it's this, it's like, I know this is good for them. They need to do this. It's just so wholesome. And yet it's like, almost, it makes you a better salesperson. Like, I do think, like, that's a beautiful part about this. It could really, like, open you up and make you more make you more social. And I always just say, like, we're extroverting ourselves out into the world in as many ways as possible. This is a great way to just get out there more.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can also take a certain percentage of each job that you're selling that goes towards your charitable events too. And let the homeowners know that, because everybody wants to be involved with something, whether it's 1%, 2%, 5%, or 10% of this project is going towards the kitty so we can host this food drive this year.
I love that. Well, there's a lot of ways to do this. Community involvement is powerful. You've absolutely grown over this last 10 years. Could you attribute any of that to your community involvement? Do you think that it's grown your company as well, or do you think it's just a good thing to do?
No, I really think that I think it has. I know it has. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I don't know how many referrals or repeat clients. It's endless. I mean, it has been endless. I could probably stay a $3 to $5 million company because of the amount of leads that have been produced from just our community outreach.
That's beautiful, man. Well, so many reasons to do it, and I always think about, like, and I'm sure you're at this point too, right? Like, where it's like Maslow's a hierarchy of needs, like significance is at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so as time goes on, I find myself more and more wanting to like do something of significance and meaning in my business. And yes, like I feel taken care of at these bottom levels, like the money level. I'm not hungry. I'm have a nice house.
Yeah.
So as you get your levels taken care of, I mean, we're not saying go run out and do this like always right away, but as you start to get your levels taken care of, let's go for the top one. Let's hit that top one with significance. Let's get significance for you and your people. That was a big motivator for me to try to do some of the stuff. Is like I want my people to feel significance
Yeah. Right.
at this job and
Purpose.
stay here partly because of it.
Yeah. Purpose. Give
Yeah,
them purpose.
exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing real quick here, Tim, that if you think you can't afford to host your own events, there's so many other events that you can participate in. And we do probably more of that than we do hosting our own stuff. Like Swing for Recovery,
Hmm.
for instance, that's Steven Spence's baby. And we just chose to host one of those events here in York County. But all that money gets channeled and funneled back to Roofers in Recovery. There's been National Roofers in Recovery Day. Like, that's not our thing. We're just participating. Community trunk or treats at Halloween, right? We just send a truck out there, a few sales guys, and we hand candy out at these trunk or treat events. So there's ways that you can get creative with it. And I don't want to give away all the gold nuggets because we don't have enough time, but
No, but I think one thing is that I'm challenged by how much you guys do. Like I know that we do stuff. I know we even do stuff I don't even know about, but I feel like, I'm sure other people are listening to this and are like, God, I'm not doing as much as Ty. I gotta like step it up a little bit, which I think is good. I think it's good. And one of the things I've been trying to help people like within this series is like it's good to do this. Do
Yeah.
it. Even if you have mixed reasons for doing it, do it. Even if you think it's just partly for your business, like it's okay to talk about it a little bit too, because you inspire people.
Listen,
I think you inspire people, and it's almost selfish not to talk about these charities because no one's promoting them. They don't have big marketing budgets. They need your help.
yeah, listen, the best time to do anything charitable is when you don't have it. Because, that's true authenticity, that's true humility. Giving when you don't have to give, that is the best time to give. So I guess to sum up your question to me earlier, what size company do you need to be? If you don't have it, do it anyhow. It will come back tenfold. That's the silver bullet to success, is giving when you don't have.
All right, gang. Ty, thank you for being on, brother. Thank you for always giving back to the community. Roofers should do well to listen to what you say. I hope they do this time. And appreciate everyone for watching and listening. Ty, where can people check you out?
They can check me out at www.tycobbbacker.com, or they can check us out on our YouTube channel, Behind the Tool Belt. They can check us out on Facebook, Behind the Tool Belt, TC Backer, or Ty Cobb Backer's Facebook page.
Gang. And the podcast is put on by hookagency.com. Hook Agency all over social. And see you later.